Taking its name from the Native American term for swiftness, the Klamath River runs some 250 miles, beginning in the Cascades of southern Oregon and extending down to Copco Lake, south of the California-Oregon border. In Nick Redfern's book, The Monster Book, he details a bizarre monster encounter involving a man named Jeffrey Shaw and his wife, which happened along the Klamath. In 1969, Shaw and his wife were enjoying a 10-day vacation in the area around Upper Klamath. They had rented a wooden cabin along the river. They spent much of the time sitting near the water's edge, sipping on white wine and eating from a well-stocked picnic basket. Shaw, an Air Forceman, was happy to get away and enjoy the great outdoors with his wife. About 6 or 7 days into the vacation, the Shaws drove 15 or 20 miles away from their cabin in search of a particular sandbank they had been told was apparently the perfect place to picnic. Unfortunately, they could not locate the place in question, and so they decided to stop at a shady, grassy area some 200 to 300 yards from the edge of the water. They liked what they saw and promptly got out, unloaded their stuff, tossed a blanket on the ground, and commenced enjoying their picnic right there on the grass. About 2 hours into their day, Jeffrey's wife saw out of the corner of her eye what she first thought was a large black bear ambling along at the edge of the woods and heading in the direction of the water. Not sure what to make of it, she whispered to her husband and pointed in the direction where the creature was maneuvering among the trees and the bushes. As they focused on the creature, it became abundantly clear that this was no black bear. Jeffrey told Redfern that as the trees and bushes became less dense, he and his wife were able to get a much clearer view of the animal that was shuffling towards the lake. At first glance, he told Nick, the creature was continually obscured by the woods and therefore initially appeared to be only about 6 or 7 feet in length, which is what led his wife to assume that it was merely a black bear on all fours. Now, however, they could see that it was closer to 30 feet long and appeared to resemble either a giant snake or a monstrous eel. Redfern spoke to both the husband and the wife, and they confirmed to him that the creature seemed to have great trouble moving on land, hence their shuffling description, to which they added that it seemed to wriggle from side to side as it moved, while its body appeared to be continually vibrating as it did so. They were unable to get a clear look at the creature's head. The whole thing reminded us of a big black pipe, Jeffrey told Redfern. At no point did the couple feel frightened, only awestruck. While they did not see it enter the river, they were quite sure that's where it was headed. Further, the couple noted that it made no noise, and it never seemed to take notice of them. The next 2 days, the couple returned to the same spot, hoping to see the creature again, but it never returned. Shaw himself even camped out overnight near the water's edge, but saw nothing. It appears their sighting of the Klamath River monster was a one-time thing. Where it came from and where it went is anybody's guess. Spring 1986, Rostov-on-Don, Russia. Olga Grebenkova was sitting at home on her ottoman attempting to sleep. It was late in the evening. Suddenly, upon opening her eyes, she realized that she was now standing up to her knees in water. She had no idea where she was or how she got there. Further, it was now broad daylight. As she looked around, on one side she saw a shoreline with some kind of settlement and people milling about. On her other side it was a, quote, endless sea. She felt a strong compulsion to go towards the settlement. Strangely, in the time it took her to blink, she again found herself somewhere else. This time she was in a long, tube-like structure, seemingly made out of stone. The tube was dark with a lone, faint light emanating from somewhere that she couldn't identify. Then she found herself thrusted legs first through the tube, as if she had been blown by a tremendous force of air. In about 10 seconds she came out at the end of the tube and landed on a street in a strange city. She was unhurt. She could see white buildings to her left and to her right, stretching out in 2 long rows. Needless to say, Olga was utterly confused and quite terrified. Just then, 2 strange figures, wearing long white gowns, walked up to her as she stood on the street. They were tall, and something about them frightened her, and she would not look at them directly. Olga's head was suddenly pushed back, and she observed a huge artificial dome over her. It stretched from horizon to horizon. It was a light blue color and emitted an even flash. Flashes and sparkles appeared on the inner surface of the dome. She was taken to a building where she saw very normal-looking people, both men and women, moving about, roaming around a spacious hall in different directions. To her, they seemed to walk funny, almost in a jerky, robotic fashion. Further, they all had weird smiles frozen on their faces. As she was taking this all in, one of the beings grabbed her and began dragging her into the hall. She attempted to fight back. "Where are you dragging me? Let me go immediately. I don't want to be like them," she screamed. As she moved closer to the people, she could not believe her eyes. To her, they looked like they were dead, zombies walking aimlessly around a huge hall. "They look like the Walking Dead," she told researcher Alexei Prima. At that point, she begged them to release her, insisting that she didn't want to stay there. For some reason, the tall beings in white heeded her demands. With that, Olga suddenly fell backwards. She was now standing on her bed in her apartment with a scream stuck in her throat. She was confused but felt safe that she was back in familiar territory. This bizarre account appeared in UFO researcher Alexei K. Prima's book, Unknown Worlds, and marks one of many accounts in which people claim to wake up in alternate worlds or dimensions. Olga's sighting of zombie-like people is also not as rare as one might think, as there are accounts from UFO abductees who claim to have encountered zombie-like humans on board crafts. Albert Rosales, author of the Humanoid Journals, recalled another almost identical case in Argentina in 1968, in which a witness was shown an image of what appeared to be zombie-like humans, and was even asked if he wanted to be like them.